Alright, let's knock this up before the dog wants to play. Hey, welcome to Drive Check. It's Cole. And today I'm going to go through and I'm going to try and stick with this because making video content for me lately, it's been very difficult. But, going to make Zorga set 2 list and I'm going to go, take it through a competitive ringer, basically. So I'll take it through a couple of my different locals occasionally. This will also kind of tie in with the Perfect Guard podcast. Let's just give my initial thoughts on my Zorga build. I'll show you what the original list was, and I'll kind of show or explain what happened in testing and what I currently think is the way that I'm gonna go with Zorga, and then we'll kind of go from there. So let's transition to the actual old deck list. Alright, so here is my first attempt at Zorga. Well, actually, technically it's my second attempt, because my first build was focused on a Zorga, rush bind build. Excuse me, that was weird. I had to yawn, and then all of a sudden my chest started hurting. Falling apart. But, so my original thought process was like a turbo Zorga bind build. So, I wanted to play as many cards that would bind as possible, and then use the sleeve tugging bell. I think I don't know if you probably can't even see my mouse, but it would be third row, the second different unit from the left, her, because she unbinds everything in the bind zone and then gets 5,000 power for each card that was unbound that way. But she is a 7k, so no matter what, she's missing out on making nice numbers against your opponent, basically. And also found that that's just way too clunky and I wasn't doing anything. So then kind of went to this sort of build, and I've changed it since then, and we're going to get into the changes that I made after I kind of explain my rationale for this. So starting off, we wanted for Zorga, the program that I have currently doesn't separate the ride line versus which who's it's not that big of a deal. So I've got the regular Zorga ride line. So one Zorga, one Husk Dragon, one Rancor Chain, and then I got Dream Nibbler. Oh my god, I don't remember his name, but the starter basically. So those are separate those. So for Hendrina. And for Hendrina, it's because Hendrina mills, and Hendrina can mill a lot and pretty quickly. So she's very, very necessary. And if I need to, I can pop her, use her ability so that I don't have to pay Soul Blast costs, which is actually kind of important when we get a little bit later. So I'm playing 4 of her, pretty solid pick overall. And I also just love that she's like a cheery Neo Nectar, maiden. But then you've got everything else is dead pirates and zombie dragons and stuff, and I think that's very funny. Then I have a 1 Husk Dragon in the main deck, and that was because I wanted a consistent beater, basically an early beater. But I don't think you really need an extra main deck one. In set 1 Zorga, yeah, it made sense because being able to intercept was actually pretty nice, and that helped out a lot of things, but this isn't set 1. So then I got 4 Perfect Guards. Those are the ones where you don't have to discard if you got if you do not have to discard if you've got 1 or less cards in your hand. There we go. And then I got 4 of the Rogue Headhunters. Now being able to reduce the counterblast cost of Alchemagic by 1 is pretty nice. But I think its biggest advantage is that it becomes a 13k beater, or 13k attacker or booster, which I think makes it every turn it's a 13k, which I think is pretty great because you can pair that up with let's say theoretically you can put it behind a Husk Dragon, so 13 plus 15 is gonna be 33? No, 28. Sorry, 28, which is a 15 more than a 15k on a regular 13k Vanguard. So that's pretty nice right there. But yeah, being able to reduce the counterblast cost by 1 is super nice. Super nice. And then the other chick, whom I don't remember because I'm not currently playing her, I think she let me grab an order from my drop zone and add to my hand, if I remember correctly. So I thought I could like recycle them, but I'm not playing her anymore, so obviously she doesn't need it. I talked about Sleeve Tugging Bell a little bit. I still like it as a one of, especially like a really late game if I've been able to Alchemagic like 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4. 4 is kind of like a really nice, because that's plus 20 to her. Yeah, 4, yeah, plus 20, so she'd be a 27. And then you can like boost her with a Headhunter or whatever. So that's pretty nice. I like a one of. A little nice little spicy tech there. And then we got Shield Fisher Dragon right next to her, which is a grade 3 that has the ability that if you did not call other than from hand, this card cannot attack or something like that. So you have to call not from hand. But it's a base 18k, which is very nice, actually. It's very nice. So it makes it so that your opponents, it's more difficult for them to attack and do your rear guards to clear it. As long as you've got Zorga, you're constantly reviving something, so that's not a problem. Especially if you got Counterblast, that's great. Yeah, that's basically it. He's a really nice beater. He is a little bit better than Hydraulic Ram Dragon, which is what we were running in the current, or the previous in set 1, because he got 5k if you have a bound order. And so, like, let's say that you played Sleeve Tugging Bell, and you got rid of all your bound orders. Well, then, now Ram Dragon is only a 13k, so it doesn't work out too well. And then we got Fleet Swallower, I believe his name is. It's the zombie shark in the middle. That's my favorite card. That's my favorite card. I love that card. Basically, he enables what the cool kids would call a battle door effect. So your opponent has to guard with 2 or more cards when they try to guard it. He gets a little bit of power himself as well. So I believe he's a 10k and gets 5k, so it makes him 15. So then if you go ahead and you boost it with the Headhunter, becomes 28, then they'd have to use 2 more cards to guard. That's not including a Persona Ride, or when we get to some of the orders, like GDR, or the Nectar card, which is also really good. So the problem is with Fleet Swallower, whatever, Zombie Shark, is that he requires a straight up Soul Blast, and there's no way to reduce that cost. So you need to be very, very careful and very cognizant of using Hendrina in order to pay for your Soul Blast costs and your Alchemagic, so you can have those Soul Blasts for the Zombie Shark. All right, and then I'll just talk about the triggers real quick. So I'm running 7 crit, 4 front, 4 heal, and 1 Blessed Favor, Stoicheia, and over trigger. The front is the one that gets the extra guard, and I find that I really like the extra guard, especially because most of my hand's going to be orders, and it's kind of hard to get rid of them. So having extra shield, I think, is really good. I also really like crits in Zorga. I think they really help close the game, especially if you can put them on Zombie Shark. But there's a way we can do that later on, so it's not that big of a deal to run 4 of the fronts and then only 3 of the second set of 4 crits. And whatever. Yeah. Other than that, trigger liner is pretty much the same. But we'll get to the orders. So 3 GDRs, and this is such a great order. It's a blanket 10k to 3 different units, just for a counterblast, which is not that big of a problem really. Plus you've got a Headhunter who can reduce it by 1, which is super nice. It's just honestly, I think it's a staple in Zorga moving forward, unless there's going to be a better way to get 30k power distributed to 10k power distributed to 3 different units. So that's really nice. And then we've got Spiritual Body Condensation, which is also pretty nice. It's my main way of reviving dudes, basically, because it essentially can be free if I have a Hendrina. So that's really, really nice. It also gives them a little extra power, which actually kind of helps in Zorga. So that's also really good. 4 might be a stretch, though, but we'll talk about that when we actually go through my set 2 current build. So then we have Regurgitation from the Underworld, I think is what it's called. I think this card's a trap, honestly. So basically, it's worded very nicely until you like actually think about it. It basically what it says is I believe it's counterblast 1, retire one of your opponent's rear guards, and then you get to call a rear guard from your drop zone that is the exact same grade as what you retired. Well, it doesn't have to be your opponent though. Keep that in mind. It actually doesn't have to be your opponent, but you retire something and then you get to call out one thing of the same exact grade. However, if you Alchemagic, you get to call 2 instead. So like it's really nice, but it's also super specific, and depending on when you play it and what your board state looks like, it's gonna be really hard. Also, it's super matchup dependent. Like if I'm playing against, for instance, let's say Bastion, right? Well, the only grade 3s I have in my deck we have the Shield Fisher Dragon and I have Zorga. So like there's little value I can get out of that right now. And like I don't know. It's okay. There might be something with retiring my own guys and calling them out. I think they might get extra power too. I don't remember right now when I still run it. So when we get in my actual current deck, we'll go through it a little bit better. And then I'm running 2 Nectar of something, Sensationalism, I think is what it's called. That just says for no cost, choose a unit. It gets 5k for every 5 cards in your drop zone. Then if you have 15 or more, it gets a crit as well. So basically, I want to use that on Shark almost every opportunity I have. Shark or Shield Fisher, basically. I want to apply a lot of pressure that your opponent has to guard them. So even if they perfect guard it, they're still getting rid of an extra card from their hand. And if they're low enough, if they only have like 1 or 2 cards left in their hand, then they just straight up can't guard it. So they'll have to take the 2 damage. So that's pretty nice. Well, actually, if they have 2 cards in their hand, one of them is a PG with the new PG wording, they wouldn't have to discard, so they could still theoretically throw that in unless it's in order. But whatever, that's a whole different thing. So yeah, it makes the Shark a lot more threatening. Also, the fact that it's free is super nice, but it really is only good during the mid to late game. So I don't need a lot of copies of it. Yeah, that was the idea for Zorga, and I will get to what we're currently working with Zorga. So let's move over there. All right, so here we go. This is what I'm currently running. It's a little bit different, but not too much different from what we previously had. So this is my ride line. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's normal Zorga goodness. So it's the best value engine Zorga's got. All right, so speaking of Zorga, running 3. I want to Persona ride as often as possible, so we're gonna run 3 of them. Pretty easy. Alright, and then I bumped Shield Fisher Dragon up to 2. So, because I kind of like it at 2, in theory. Hold on. There we go. Let's just move this over here. The finished ones go over there. Alright, yeah. So we're running 2 of the Shield Fisher. In theory, I like it a lot. We'll see in practice. He might just clog up my hand / field too often, but it's good to having an additional version of a basically an additional grade 3 for Zorga. Not Zorga, Jesus, for Bastion, for the Bastion matchup. That's really nice. So put him over there. All right, then we got 3 good old Hendrinas over here, or 4, sorry. Same reason that I said before. Hendrina is just really very good for milling really quickly, so I like that. Right, and we got the good old. It is Fleet Swallower. So there's that. This is from what I've heard other people say, this is kind of like the MVP. So I'm very excited to really try this officially instead of just proxying it a couple times. So super stoked for that. Also, this is a promo and like one of the promo packs. It's not hollow, but honestly, I think it kind of looks better not hollow, which is kind of blasphemous to say. But I feel like some of the background art's just kind of lost in the foil, especially in person. But it just looks darker and creepier, which I like. And I just need one more. Alright, and then we got, moving on to the grade 1s, 4 of the headhunters. The SPs are on their way, so don't worry. But yeah, no, I headhunter I like a lot. I especially love that it becomes a 13k beater. Basically everything that I said before, but you know, it's right there. Alright, and then we've got a sleeve tugging bell. And same thing, but I just dropped her down to 1 because, you know, I like having that utility, especially for late more grindier games. I think she's a really good option. Worst case scenario, she's a super thick beater, so that's nice. And then last grade 1s are the 4 perfect guards, so nothing special there. But now we'll move to the orders though. So we're doing 3 GDRs, and I like GDR a lot. Like I said before, I think it's very, very swell. I am playing 2 of these right now. This is Regurgitation from the Underworld. Oh, it's a Counterblast and a Soul Blast. That's what it is. Choose a player's rear guard, retire it, choose a 1 card, same grade, blah, blah, if the Alchemy Magic choose to. But it does not have to be to an open rear guard circle, so that's nice. So I'm running 2, mostly because I was able to get my hand on 2 SPs, and we're going to kind of see how this runs. But it might work out better than I think. I did a few games and it just wasn't performing the way that I wanted it to. So we're gonna feel it out for 2 and see where this goes. So yeah, we're doing 2 of those, and then I bumped Spiritual Body Condensation down to 3. And honestly, I'm not sure why right now. I don't remember why I changed it. But I don't think... Yeah, honestly, I couldn't even tell you why it's at 3 right now. It was probably to give room for this. Another Regurgitation. So we'll see. I might bump that back up to 4 and Regurgitation back down. I don't know. But I still really like Nectar at 2. Nectar Sensationalisms. Yeah, because it late game, it's going to be super thick. Very, very, very chunky. And then if I do it on the shark gets a crit, so it's even more of a threat. My phone is freaking out. Dropping frames left and right. That's dope. Alright. But nothing has also changed with the triggers. So I've got... You know, we got your 4 fronts with the extra stuff. 4 heals. 4 tentacle crit. 3 jackal crit, and then blessed favor. I find it very funny that I can have every trigger in the deck can be SP, and it's going to be SP because it's not too expensive to do it. Thank God. But yeah, this is what I'm currently rocking with Zorga. I think this is probably what's gonna be. The orders I might change around a little bit, but I'm very happy I don't have to play Cursed Souls Squirming in Agony, I believe it's called. I don't like that card. Every time it feels awful when I play it. Mill 4, but then you can only call from what you milled. And like, half of them are going to be orders, half of them are going to be triggers. That's 90% what it's going to be. I don't have a problem calling triggers, because back in the day I could use Ghost Chase. Actually, that's a good point. Ghost Chase, not in the deck. Couldn't find room. Don't think I really need it. So we're gonna kind of roll with that. I know some people would disagree. Some people really think they need the ghost chase, but I'm not sure I really need it. When it came in handy was like 1 in 5 games basically. Just like, because it's a target. Anything that you put down is a target. They're just gonna attack the Zorga, and I can't ghost chase the Zorga. And with Leonard coming out, they can attack an entire column, and so like I can't bounce any of those back. So like I just don't feel like it's needed right now. But that could change. Just need to play test a little bit more. Let's see. There's another order that I'm running that I think it binds something and swaps something in your hand with a bound order or something like that. I don't know. No, it's not. It's not bound orders. Lets me grab 2 orders from the drop zone back to my hand, which in theory is pretty nice. And that might find a way in as a one-of. Maybe I'll drop Regurgitation down to to one in order to fit that in, make it a little bit more of a toolbox. I don't know. That's definitely one that I want to look out for. And there's also Wild Intelligence that I saw in Outer Orange's video, which I'll link in somewhere. You can go check out her video. I think it's a very interesting idea. But I don't know if Zorga really wants that is the thing, because it does cost a counterblast. So I really don't like using counterblast in orders because more than one counterblast doesn't feel great, because Headhunter only reduces it by 1. So I'd still have to use an additional counterblast. That, and if I'm using Zorga to revive something, that's 2 counterblasts a turn, which I will just cannibalize my counterblast super quickly if that's the case. So kind of don't want to run it. And I really don't want to run Regurgitation at 2 either. But it's here. Maybe it'll come in handy more often than I think. Maybe I can try using it on my own field. I don't know. We'll see, though. So without further ado, this has been a super long video, and I didn't want it to take it to be very long. The next video will be a tournament report and any changes that I make on the deck, and that'll be it. So yeah, I'm going to attempt to edit this. We'll see if it actually comes out on time. But in case I haven't, I will be playing this for the Perfect Card Podcast Sunday, and I will be playing in Epic Loot. I think Sharonville, Ohio is where it is. I'm not sure. But you can just look up Epic Loot Games. It's a really nice store. A little bit of a drive for me, so we don't make it off that often, but good people there. So I'll be playing that, and I'll also be playing it Monday at Monster at my other local. So I'll have like a way better feel for it for the next time I record this, which I hope will be sooner rather than later. But yeah, check out the Perfect Card Podcast, which is a more competitive focused podcast that I do with my buddy Andy or Nerdbrain in our Discord, which, by the way, Discord will be in the description. If you want to join, feel free. And then I also have Drive Check, which is a more casual focused podcast. I greatly appreciate if you give that a listen too. And then if you want to throw the podcast a couple bones every month, that'd be greatly appreciated on Patreon. I will be revamping Patreon shortly. Not shortly, but soon-ish. I need to sit down and actually plan through that. There's a lot I want to change on there. I'm going to say custom sleeves may or may not be coming soon. May or may not. I don't know. Trying to figure that out right now. But without further ado, I'm closing out. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.